On your website, sheriffclarke.com, you say the person you most admire is your father, David Clarke Sr. Why do you admire him so much?
Well, he was my first role model. He was my first mentor. My dad, I say, was. He's still with me today, 84 years old. But and I talk about that in the book, Cop Under Fire. I talk about how dads matter, especially in this day and age when you see some of the behavior and lifestyle choices of our young black men, young black males who have no guidance. They have negative role models. And there's a void in their life, and that void's going to be filled by somebody to lead, to aspire to, and it's usually some negative force. My dad was always there for me, not only from the time I was born, but all through life. I touch on that in the book, but it goes beyond just what my dad meant to me. Dads are instrumental in the development of their children. They show them love. They show their daughters how they should be treated by men. They show their young boys how to respect authority, how to respect women, those sorts of things. We wouldn't see some of the urban pathologies that we see going on in the American ghetto if we had more engaged dads. Yeah. Part of the reason that we don't is because of this war on the black family that the Democrats and progressivism declared in the 1960s with the Great Society. Black men were emasculated from their families. Yeah. They were pushed to the side. They were told, you're not needed. Uncle Sam filled the void. Uncle Sam put a roof over people's heads. They put food on the table in terms of food stamps. You know, they paid the rent, the heating, so on and so forth. And so it estranged black men from their children. And obviously you can see what the devastating consequences that has led to.
You know, for the last 27 years, my nonprofit has been rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I talk about that spiritual order that God created, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. It's a spiritual thing. And when you turn the children, both boys and girls, away from their fathers, you turn them away from their own identity. It leaves a void in your life that no money, friendship, or anything can replace. But once you return back to your father and love your father, then God forgive you, and that void is taken away from you. You can finally have peace and live your life. And a lot of guys and girls, and ladies too, adult women, who have forgiven their father for not being there, forgiven their mothers who have turned them away from their father, they now have peace and they can finally live their life. And it's so important to me that we rebuild that family. We get men to return to their proper state of being and get married, and fathers and mothers raise their children, become that example for them.
There's no doubt about that. A cultural change is going to be needed, as you know. We have to begin to, and I talk about this in the book as well, we have to begin to do a self-examination of each other in the black community. As you know, there's this unwritten rule that we can't self-criticize in public. You know, we got to kind of like do that behind closed doors. We can't be afraid to do that. Really, no other culture is afraid to do that. If you see some negative aspects of culture developing, you shame and you condemn those negative cultural aspects so that you can further advance the culture. But it just seems that there's an emergence, and it's not the entire black community, you know that, right, as well as I do, but that's what the left will claim I'm saying, which I'm not. But what you're seeing is the emergence of a subculture in the black community, the black underclass. And you're seeing some of the cultural rot that is emerging within that underclass that is starting to seep out into the black community as a whole. You know, lifestyle choices, gang involvement, school failure, fathering multiple kids out of wedlock with different women, failure to stay engaged consistently in the workforce, drug and alcohol abuse. You look at those negative aspects, you know, wearing your pants down around your rear end. You know, those are things that the left looks at and they say, well, it's their culture. No, it's not. It's cultural rot. Yeah. It needs to be shamed and condemned. But we don't have in our community people in positions of leadership like John Conyers, congressman from Michigan, who has the Detroit area, like Elijah Cummings, who has the Baltimore area, like Maxine Waters, who has the LA area, and Gwen Moore, who has the Milwaukee area. They don't have the moral courage to stand up in the black community and lead the cause of shame and condemnation for these negative lifestyle behaviors, this cultural rot that is culturally stunting. Instead, they go along with the left's progressive agenda, which is self-defeating, and they don't feel bad about it because it allows them to stay in power. They've become
Yep.
the gatekeepers, if you will, to keep blacks herded into the American ghetto.